All right, well, here we are. Welcome to the show. I decided to wear skin tone tank top, just to make it look like I'm not wearing a shirt at all. But when I put it on, I was like, maybe, babe, you don't buy this tank top for Mexicans, for white guys, I'm too brown. Well, welcome to the episode. This is the Steve and Captain Evil podcast. How are you? What's going on?
I'm good. We made it through the weekend.
We did. It was a huge weekend for us, but people have no idea. Well, so basically, what do we do this weekend?
We filmed this is your fourth comedy special, a coronavirus quarantine comedy special. So it was definitely a different experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, you say fourth special. I would not consider this one like your typical, I'm going to film a special. I've been working on this material and it's time to retire that material. So we're going to film the special. We're going to go after possibly Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu.
This go round was totally different.
A very different
totally
thing.
Different.
We decided because, when I got back on stage after quarantine, we were doing shows at 50% capacity and I always have the dilemma of, am I going to talk about, first of all, I don't talk about politics on stage.
Yeah.
I don't, and we've talked about this on the podcast, I really try to make the hour that I am on stage a time to just laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that...
An escape from
from everything.
Drama. Yeah.
From everything, right? Whatever's happening in our country, and right now it could not be any worse. Every channel you turn on, everything you watch, everything is political, and I always try to make my hour of stand-up not that. Everyday life.
Yeah, people are going out for a night out. They want to enjoy. They want to have a nice dinner. They want to drink. They want to laugh.
Right. So when I was, after being on quarantine, going back on stage, my big dilemma was, do I even want to talk about coronavirus? Do I want to talk about my life in quarantine?
We talked about it at first, especially because everyone was so in the trenches of it. It's like, do we want to talk about
Do I want to remind them, right?
Yeah.
But then I found myself getting on stage talking about, this is what I learned during quarantine. This is what happened to me. And people really seem to enjoy it. And when you realize that, well, everybody's going through it. And they always say that the formula for comedy is pain equals time equals funny.
Yeah.
Right? So, we were all going through it and we all need to laugh at it.
Well, it's definitely going to be a timestamp in history. Like, there's no denying that there are going to be long-term effects of this, and we're going to be talking about it from years to come. So if we can find a way to deal with it and laugh at it and find the humor in it, I think that's going to be critical, especially now that we've been dealing with it for so long moving forward. Like,
well, look,
we want to find the humor in it.
Every generation has to have their thing to bitch about, right? You know what I mean? Like, so this is my son's. Right? My son's gonna be like, oh, you little shit, you're having a birthday party. People used to have to drive by and honk at us. You don't know what it's like to have a birthday party. Yeah. We had to wear masks.
We couldn't go to a movie theater.
Right. Oh, you better enjoy this movie, buddy. I went without him. So Garrett's gonna be like that. Like, I always say, like, my dad being a Vietnam vet, there was never any way. Anything I did, I'm like, Dad, I'm cold. And he's like, oh, you want to know cold? Let me tell you about cold. And, dang, all right, dude, I guess I'm not cold.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, I'm hungry. You don't look hungry. I've seen people who look hungry, who are really hungry. I'm like, okay, buddy. So that's going to be, our kid's deal. So it's definitely a stamp in history. And then I started doing this material on stage that was about my life in quarantine, and before you knew it, it was 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes. Now, the bummer of it all is I was getting ready early this year to film my next real special.
Yeah, we were gearing up for the next one.
Because I had already, worked on all the material. I had toured with it. And a lot of people don't understand that I'll tour with material for a year to a year and a half so that I can get it perfect.
To really craft the set.
Right. And then we start I film it, and then we start over.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now I have to tour another year and a half, writing material, coming up with material, trying to find a way to talk about our life and what's happening so that we can film again. Well, the bummer of it all is I had already was ready to film early this year a special.
Yeah.
Because I had already been touring with that material, and then we had this huge pause in life.
Our lives have changed so much. Everyone's lives have changed so much. It just seems a little like socially unconscious to go and do something else.
So then when I went back on stage, all of a sudden that material that I had been working on kind of took a back seat. Right? And it was like, oh man, I'm talking about all this stuff during quarantine. I have to find a way to, put that together. And our friends here at Texas Crew and studios at Fisher, we started going, okay, two things. Nobody's filming real specials.
Well, because production is at a halt. There are things that are still in production, but the rules and the guidelines, and it's just become a lot trickier to actually do a whole production. And then, the network's buying things. And
Chappelle did his, and everybody tuned in, and he wasn't doing stand-up. And I'm not mad at Chappelle. Chappelle is beyond famous. Chappelle is almost infamous in the point that he's a character in our culture.
Yeah.
So when he wants to get on stage and yell at us about something, fine, right? That's not what I do, and I'm not famous at all, and I'm far from infamous, right? I'm
glad you said it, so I didn't have to.
I'm far from a character in our society. So we decided, like, hey, let's film something, and we will put together an hour. But then, we really go, okay, well, these podcasts that we do, like for those of you that don't know, today is Monday. We usually record these things and film them on Monday or Tuesday, and then they come out a week later. And the reason is because, I'm busy touring on the weekends, and we need to come in and do this. So someone's
got to edit it and put it out there and make sure it's ready to release on time.
And whoever that is that edits it's a real asshole. But sorry, Rick. So there's really not an opportunity for us to do it in front of a crowd, number one, and then to bring in special guests.
Yeah.
Right? So, and a lot of times, because we live our life the way we do, our special guests aren't celebrities.
Yeah.
Right? They're not people that have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays off. They work. So we decided, okay, let's film 1 hour of my stand-up.
Which I don't think you realized how tricky it was going to be, or how intense it was going to be, putting that set together when your road gigs are so scattered and things are getting canceled and new dates are popping up, and not having the time to practice it like you normally would. Your regular process on a regular special. This go round was totally different.
No, it was, I really had to work hard on, I had a bunch of bits that were scattered and things that I would talk about on stage.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't practicing day in, day out, and before I'm doing, and lately, because before the coronavirus, lately I would add a show. I would add 2 shows. So all of a sudden I'm doing 2 shows on Thursday, 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday. So it's easy for me mentally to go, all right, that first show, I should have said this, I didn't say that. I don't even know why I did that. I'm going to get rid of it. So then I can go up on stage and practice. And before
coronavirus, I was traveling with you a lot more. I wasn't pregnant. I was traveling with you more. We weren't worried about all the germs. So I had seen the set so much. So that was like trippy for me this go around too, was I didn't get to see the set much. You didn't get to practice the set much. I really did not get to see the set much before you did it.
So we brought in Brian. Brian Hart, who has helped me in the past. And usually Brian would come in look at the stuff I have, and then it was much easier for Brian because he would just go, you know, you need to put this over here, and I don't know why you're telling that story first. Tell this story last. You know, for Till Death, Brian was. I would open with the pregnancy story, and the Brad Garrett story.
Oh, for Garrett.
To talk about, to intro that, hey, we now have a kid.
Uh-huh.
And then Brian goes, no, that's at the end. So he comes in, he kind of, you know, switches things around. So I would already give him a piece of work and go, okay, here's the piece of work. What do we do? And then this time, and by the way, Brian's in Oxnard watching 8 shows. Brian's in Ontario, California, watching 8 shows. I would fly Brian out to Vegas where he would watch show after show after show after show.
We'd almost have a transcript of your set by the time it was done, you know?
You know, and this time, Brian didn't get to see any of my shows. And here we were like, all right, I know I have this material. How are we going to tell the story?
Yeah.
Right? So...
And before I would be like, oh, you know what? That joke really makes me cringe. Do we have to do that one?
And now you have no idea.
This time around, there was
no idea what I was going to do. So, like, Brian came into town, and then I go, all right, Brian, well, you know, you can go to San Angelo with me. We did San Angelo. And then we get there, and it's, like, non-conducive to stand-up. Which, by the way, I always...
What was the venue in San Angelo? I forget. What was it like? Was it a restaurant?
No, it was an outdoor, like, honky-tonk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Wonderful place, wonderful owners, you know, beautiful place. They were very accommodating. So, and I love doing San Angelo. However, I walk on stage. The stage is really high, and they put this, like, huge barrier between me and the crowd. So now all of a sudden, what people don't understand is, like, when I'm not in the right conditions for stand-up, it makes it really hard to connect.
Well, comedy clubs are designed a certain way for very specific reasons.
Right, so I can connect. So we go to San Angelo, I get some work done, but not as much as I would like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden my next gig is Miami, my first drive-in theater show.
Which is not at all like a comedy club experience.
They're like, Steve, when they like what you do, they'll honk. I'm like,
Did
what?
You say they flash their lights?
Yeah, they would flash their lights and honk.
Oh my God.
I mean, look, I enjoy, but I wasn't able to do a bunch of new material because
you can't anticipate laughs. You can't like judge your timing or.
So I had to do the bits that I know them well.
Yeah.
But I did love that, like, I could see the people in the cars in the front row. And, like, the wife would reach over to flash the lights for him. like, I like that one. And then they honk, you know, she'd reach over and honk for him. But, again, not conducive to...
Prepping for filming.
Yes.
Yeah, getting a set ready to film.
How is it dealing with a Steve Trevino before shooting?
Well, like I said, usually I'm on the road with you, so I feel... much more in the know. I'm not really surprised by what you're going to see on set because I've seen it a ton. So usually I'm much more a critic. This go around, there was no time for that. You were working with Brian constantly, but you also like just your process because you don't write anything down. It's not like, hey, Brian, let's sit and flush out this set. Poor Brian is like, hey, Brian, hop in the truck with me. Let's go put corn in deer feeders and talk about the set while we're on a ranch.
Well, no, I write in my head. So if I'm stuck in my head too much, then I can't write anymore. I go crazy.
Yeah.
So I gotta go to the ranch and distract myself.
Yeah.
I gotta cut the yard. I gotta do things to get me to get loose again and to get my mind, because I'll sit there and I don't sleep at night and I'm doing the set in my head over and over and over and over again. I start going crazy. So I need things to do to break me away.
Oh, I know. We gone to IKEA and bought the drawers and they were sitting in the garage. And I was like...
Okay, sitting in the garage? For how long?
No, just for a few days. No, this is my point, is that, Rick, those damn IKEA drawers should have stayed in the garage a whole nother week. But Steve was like going crazy, getting ready for the special, and like, you needed something else to do. So you're like, I have to put these IKEA drawers together today. And I was like, really? Like, you're filming a special in 5 days. Screw the IKEA drawers. Like, focus on the set.
How hilarious is this right now? This is so funny because, hey, how about don't buy the IKEA dress? Right? How about say, hey, I know Steve's filming a special and he's going to be stressed out. How about we don't buy them at all? Because she knows that I have anxiety when it comes to things not being finished in my home. I'm not the kind of guy that can walk by boxes that need to be taken care of and not take care of them.
I think you just had so much anxious, nervous energy about getting this set ready that then it became
so why not buy
about these? I must put the IKEA drawers together.
So if you know that, how about, hey, I don't need to buy IKEA drawers.
It was too late. We'd already bought them the week before. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I wasn't thinking 2 weeks in advance.
How about don't buy the IKEA drawers?
We have a new rule in our house, you guys. No IKEA furniture.
Unless they want to be a sponsor. No.
I fully, wholeheartedly agree. It might be one of the best decisions we've made in our
Dude, my biggest fight with the IKEA drawers, I kept saying, please, babe, do not buy IKEA. Do not. And it's not, and I don't want to shit on IKEA. Because they have a lot of great things.
Well, no, you told me solve the problem inexpensively, and I was like, you know what? I can buy IKEA drawers. I can even put them together myself.
And what happened to just the Allen wrench? I opened the book and it's like, you're gonna need a hammer, a level, a laser, and I'm like, what happened to just the Allen wrench? And then I'm putting this thing together. And dude, I'm done putting it together, which by the way took me 2.5 hours. And I go like this to it and it just like shakes. And I'm like, I go, Renee, come here. I go, this is why, look. So then in order for it to all come together, you have to nail the particle board on the back. That's the glue. That's where we're at, IKEA. But I don't want to shit on them because they do have a lot of great stuff. Our outdoor furniture is IKEA, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's very well made. But this piece of shit.
I mean, what should have it just snowballed into this like anger fest on the IKEA drawer. I was like, that's it, no more. Tim will put together. Road manager Tim will put together the other one.
No, it cracks me up that Renee says anger fest. Like, what angry is to her. Like, and I'm like, she's like, you're angry right now. And I'm like, I am not angry. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. You don't know angry.
You definitely wanted to chunk that IKEA dresser drawer.
I grew up with Joe Trevino. I know angry. You don't know angry.
That's a valid point.
Like, Renee will be like, oh my God, you're so angry. And I'm like, why? Because I raised my voice a little bit? Like... So
anyway, so we killed a whole day of special prep because we had IKEA drawers in the house.
Well, and then it's tough because again, I always try to get back to my family as soon as possible. So literally, my show is in Miami on Saturday. I have to be at the airport. My flight leaves at 5:30 a.m. out of San Antonio. So I wake up at 3:45.
Yeah.
And I have to leave my house at 4. I get to the airport, I fly to Miami, I get to Miami, I rent a car, or Uber, check into the hotel, I'm trying to take a nap, this one's got issues at home that don't need to be handled, she's calling me, then I do the show, I get to the show, and it turned out to be a great show, however, the camera guy wasn't ready, the stage was too low, so now we're trying to figure out how to accomplish these goals. I do the show, I'm flying out the next morning at 7:23 a.m. So I'm not even gone 24 hours. I get home, and I probably slept all of 4 hours. I get home, and there's IKEA furniture. And then Brian's like, hey man, we're gonna work today? I'm like, no, we're not. I have to put together this IKEA furniture. I start putting it together, and then this one here's like, I'll do it. You want me to do it? I'll just do it. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm gonna let my pregnant wife put together the IKEA furniture. And then all I told her was, I go, look, I'm stressed. I have a show to put on. I have no idea what that show is. There's a lot of moving parts. Can you just be nice? Can you just put up with me being grumpy? Nope. Nope. I'm being mean to her.
So no more IKEA furniture.
Yes.
we both learned our lesson.
Well, and then people have no, like, it's funny when it's so offensive to me, and I'm not mad at them because they don't know, but sometimes after my show, somebody will say something like, I love your little skit. That little skit you do?
No, I don't.
And I'm like, my little skit. I spend hours of my life.
You make it look so easy that I don't think people realize all the work it entails to do what you do on stage. Because you make it look so simple, so easy, but it's not.
And it's so funny how many messages I get. Dude, after watching you, I need to do stand-up. Because we live the same life, and I can do that. And I'm like, I've been doing this for...
Well, because you make it feel like you're just telling stories about our life. People don't realize, like, it is such a craft.
It's a skill.
Yeah, it's a craft to think in terms of, like, beats and punchlines and using just the right amount of words and certain words. Like, you're even changing out words.
Well, and this time, because I didn't have the order, we had to do cue cards.
Yeah.
So we had to make these cue cards, and then, so we ended up doing a show in San Antonio kind of last minute, because it was like a sketch show. They were doing like a sketch show, and then I called the promoter, and they were very nice to me, and they let me get on stage, which, by the way, there's this place called, I think it's called The Well. In San Antonio. It's massive. It's beautiful, and they're doing a comedy show in there. So I showed up, and we're gonna practice the cards, right? Well, Renee had written them in all black, and because of my dyslexia, I couldn't read them.
It was like black and blue, and there were too many. We did too many bullet points per.
There was
card.
too many per card.
Yeah.
And it was all black, and all the letters for me, because I'm dyslexic, like mushed
it was like
together.
A crossword puzzle.
So I came home. I'm like, all right, look, now we got to do the cards where there's only 3 lines on there, and then we had to do different colors to separate the because I couldn't read, and it made it hard for me. So even then, we have to like work around my learning disabilities.
Yeah, no, well, and then the day of the show, Rick was like, hey, we've got you a monitor. You want to do it on the monitor? And I was like, no, no, we can't use a monitor. Like, we have cards that are color-coded and very specific. And I was just so nervous for you. I'm not dyslexic. I don't know what that's like, but I was so nervous for you about transitioning from the cue cards to the monitor the day before the show.
Right, and we had that discussion, with Terry and the whole cast, the whole crew, but we ended up doing the cards and having to do them in different colors. But, that's why I think that the more I work with Rick, he starts to understand that just tell me what you want me to say. I'll remember it. Yeah. I got it.
I won't. I'll be like, let me put it in my phone.
Just tell me, or even better, tell me the goal that we're trying to accomplish, and I will find a way to say it.
Yeah.
I will, and then I'll say it 3 different ways for you, so that we can get what we need, because we filmed a commercial.
We did, the day of the special too.
Yes,
we ended up doing some promos for Aztec Autoplex.
Yep, we've been partnered up with Aztec Autoplex.
Which is very exciting.
Chevy dealer, which was so exciting. Then they were like, hey, pick a car to drive.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. It's Aztec Chevy. It's the website is Aztec Autoplex.
Yeah, that's why I said Aztec Chevy. Right.
We partnered up with Aztec Chevy.
Right. So we partnered up with Aztec Chevy.
Yeah.
And their website is AztecAutoplex.com. AztecAutoplex.com for all your Chevy needs.
But we're super excited. Thank you.
Well, no. So then they go. You can drive any car you want, as long as we're doing business together. What car do you want to drive?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, we got to do the Camaro SS. This thing is freaking awesome.
Screw 2 car seats, y'all. Trevino is like, we're getting
But no, we already have the SUV. We already have an SUV. You have your Land Rover, and then we have my truck.
Yes, we do.
So, and then, look.
It's our date night car.
They were just like, you can drive a truck. I go, I don't want to. The car's not mine. I get to drive it.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive around a truck that I can't use. Like, there's no
you mean
way.
that you like can't run into deer with? Is
Yeah,
that
I can't. Yeah, I can't hit deer with it. I can't take it to the ranch. I can't dump bags of corn in the back. So the Camaro, I'll take care of it, right?
Yeah.
And I'll drive. And it's beautiful. It's green.
Oh, it's a gorgeous like hunter green color. Sparkles so
Dude,
pretty.
you hit the gas and you go, whoa, whoa, like, it's freaking awesome. And so they do. I just noticed it does have teen mode. Like if you have a teen driver, so it won't go as fast.
So you're gonna push that
I'm gonna
button
put
for
that
me.
for you. I'm gonna put the Captain Evil mode, so my wife doesn't die. Dude, she's an aggressive driver. Like when you drive with Renee, I'm like this, and I'm in the Land Rover, like, oh, pull over, I'll drive. She's a maniac. So
I haven't driven it yet either. I'm excited to drive it.
I don't know if I'm gonna let you. But it was cool because at the taping, Aztec Chevy sent a bunch of guys over, right, to the show, and I couldn't wait to meet them. And Rick's back there, our partner here, and they get in there, and they're from South Texas. They're from Beeville, right? Mm-hmm. They're my people. Right, they are my people, and as soon as I see them, man, I start breaking balls and I start saying things. And Rick's like, "Oh, Steve, let's tone it down. These are our sponsor, our partners." But they're laughing. They have their wives there. Like we're having a good time, and I always say, like, man, you want to party? You party with car salesmen. These guys go hard, And then one of the car salesmen was like, "Here's my koozie," and he has like his own personal koozie, and all the guys are like, "Oh, this dickhead has a koozie," and he's like, "Do I sell cars or not? Do I sell cars or not?" So it was cool to have them there, and then we ended up also filming a commercial for them.
Yeah, we did some promos for them
that you got to do, and then we also were donated a 1973 Chevy Camaro for Helicopters for Heroes, so we had that there. And then we just wanted, and
you from the beginning, when we were talking about putting this special on, you had a very specific idea of how you wanted to do it. You were like, this is not going to be like any of my other specials, and I really want it to be a unique experience for the viewer. And you also, not only did you want it to be a unique experience for the people watching it, you wanted the people who were there live to feel like it was really special and unique for them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Every special I do, I write with heart. Anytime, I can say a million funny things, but if the story that I'm telling doesn't have heart, and it doesn't have emotion, and it doesn't have sometimes a right and a wrong, who's wrong in that story? Is it Steve? Is it Renee? It has to have all that. It's a formula that I know when I'm telling that story. It has to be special, and it has to be real, and it has to be something that touches people. At least that's what I try to do, right? So, and over the years, it's gotten more personal and more real. And, after Relatable, I was like, oh man, I need to give Renee more of a voice. So when I did Till Death, you had more of a voice. You know,
there was a giant painting on the stage.
Right. but when we did Relatable, I always wanted to make sure that it was family. That people got to meet my real family. When we did Rancho Grande at the end with Roger Kreger and everybody came up and danced, I wanted people to meet my family and to see my family, right? So then when Till Death came around, we brought you on stage, and it was, hey, here's my beautiful wife, the Captain Evil herself, and it has continued to progress, and this special is more than special because we get really personal and really open. And for the first time, I wrote a show, and we'll see if it works, but I wrote a show that is not full of laughs. My goal when I film a special is it's laugh, laugh, laugh. So that you're overwhelmed with laughter, and that you go, God, that's the funniest special I've ever seen. At least that's my goal, right? But this one, I go, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to get even more personal and more real and more honest and to even take a moment to settle in, right? And then...
but the people in the audience loved it. The people who were there loved it.
And, you know, to be able to bring in the characters that we've all been talking about lately and have grown to love, right? Like Miss Dora.
Yeah,
right?
Your mom came on stage for that.
Oh my God.
So people know it's like 40 minutes of stand-up?
Yes, mom came with us. Mom, come say hi real quick. Very quickly. This is my beautiful mother, Miss Dora. Where you at, Miss Dora? Come over here. She's over there going, no. Just say hi. Come over here. Just say hello. Look into that camera right there.
Hi, everybody.
Miss Dora's the only one that has a look at her mask accessory.
Necklace.
I love you, Mom.
Necklace.
Love you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick, this is our original sponsor. Where are your eyelashes? What's it called?
Foxy
Loud.
Foxy Lady Eyes by Dora.
I love you, Mom.
I love you.
That's Miss Dora, but we wanted to, you know, right now you get to say hi to Miss Dora very quickly, but we wanted her on stage and she stole the show.
Oh my God, she was afterwards, at the end when we wrapped, the crew was like, oh my God, Dora was so funny, she was so good. Your mama was gold.
And then, you know, we invited Pollito.
Yes.
And Pollito comes out and I you know, he's so funny. I almost wish that we would have at least tried to get something.
Oh
with
no,
him.
but he was great. He insisted on taking his mask off for just a quick minute and like doing a little mustache rub so everyone could see his stash.
His little pencil mustache. It was awesome.
It was so good, yeah.
And then we get all the time like, oh my God, we could be best friends, right? We get that all the time where people send us a message and go, God, we want to hang out with you guys, and you know, I wonder what it's like to be friends with Steve and Captain Evil. So we invited
our neighbors from our old neighborhood, Phil and Tatiana, who both actually happen to be ex-military. They're both retired Marines.
And
which is just like cool.
And it's funny because they did fantastic. They really did a great job. And because our idea was, what is it? I wonder what it's like to live next door to us.
Yeah.
Right? And they got interviewed by Brian. We had no idea what they were going to say.
Yeah.
You know, and I told him, like, don't hold back, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's so funny because those cameras turn on and all of a sudden, like, they change. Like, people change when cameras go on. They definitely were not, you know, the Phil and Tatiana that when we're in the backyard having drinks and talking shit.
Well, it's nerve-wracking, baby. If you've never done, I mean, you asked our neighbors to, like, everyday normal people to come on a stage, and there are chairs, 150 chairs sitting in front of them, people staring at them, and you've handed them microphones, and there's lights and cameras, and you're like, okay, be natural.
Well, no, but I also think that, you know, as human beings, and I think that part of the reason that I am successful doing what I do is I'm the same all the time.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that most people, they have their work persona.
Yes, but there's also something about you that is a level I don't give a fuck like no other I've ever seen before. Like,
because I don't give a fuck.
I know, exactly. And
because I'm me, and I am genuine, and I am... But even you, like, we get on this podcast, and all of a sudden it's, what? Oh my God, you know...
Just because I'm nicer to you on the podcast.
Oh my God, yes. I wish we could have cameras follow us around, period. Just all the time. Terry, can you just live with us in the back seat so that she
Terry's
can always...
like, hell no, I'm not saying that.
So she can always just be nicer. And by the way, you're not even... Oh, and then we also wanted to take, involve the audience into it. So... Yeah. Oh, and then, oh my God, I'm saying Miss Doris stole the show. She did not. Garrett stole the show.
Oh, yeah. So I don't think, I don't know if everyone realized this, but what we did was, obviously Garrett has a bedtime, and we were filming till 1 a.m. So Garrett went on stage after your set in the first show only. And then we did the podcast because that was its own monster.
Well, and
after the second show, we taped it.
And here's a little bit about how the sausage is made. For those of you that don't know, every special I do, we record 2 shows, 2 separate audiences, and then we end up in the edit room combining the 2 shows.
But to give you credit, you are such a pro that...
What? What's happening right now? Am I getting credit for something? No. Holy shit. See, I love the podcast. I love it.
No, to give you credit, you are such a pro that for most of your specials, I'm not sure about the first one because I wasn't in on that process, but for Relatable Until Death, we really worked off of one show, and it was just like little snippets from the other, very little, or great audience reactions. Like in Till Death, a peacock went off outside, and you like spontaneously in the moment responded to it, and it was hilarious.
But that was in first show.
That was in the first show, so we just took that little piece from the first show. It didn't have anything to do with your performance, but we just loved it. Took it from the first show and put it in the second show.
So, and then a lot of times, if you really pay attention as an audience member when you watch specials, you will see that if you're paying attention to the audience, they'll change. So one of the funniest things that ever happened to me. I started comedy with this guy. He's one of my best friends. I miss him. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Joe Fox. So Joe Fox and I started, by the way, look him up, fantastic comedian. Joe Fox and I started comedy together in Dallas, and our mutual friend, who you know too, Marvin, had got us, one of my first TV appearances was BET Comic View. Because back in the day, BET Comic View was a big thing, and I told Marvin, I got to do it with Joe. Right, so we were all homies, and then so me and Joe Fox are doing it, and we couldn't wait to see our episode. And then Joe Fox is performing. They cut to an audience shot, and Joe Fox is in the audience. Like Joe's laughing at himself, and me and Joe were like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like they used your shot, right? So, just so people understand how it works. So, the biggest dilemma was for us is we wanted Garrett to perform. Yeah. And we wanted, by the way, this tuxedo, a little tuxedo. Yeah. He got a little tuxedo. His little tuxedo.
And that is all him, y'all. He picked that out and he puts it on and he just has a little swagger when he wears it.
So he performed first show. Uh-huh. And then after that, we do the podcast. Is what they'll see. Yes. But they don't realize that it was, you guys will know that
we had to turn over the room, clear out all that audience, get a whole new audience in, reset chairs.
But that's the thing about this special. When you get it, you don't have to watch the podcast as well. If you want to just watch the stand-up, that's what we're starting with. That's what we're opening with. It'll end with Garrett on stage and me and you. Yeah. And then, which by the way, we've really turned this into a family affair, what I do. You're involved now much, much more. You really didn't get to produce this one.
I was going to say, this time was interesting for me. I was involved much more in that I was in front of the camera much more this go around. But from the crew side of things, I was not. I think, we just decided I'm pregnant and that's a heavy load this go around as it is. So I was not as involved in the production side this go round.
You weren't involved with anything but your hair, your makeup, and that's what Renee was involved in. She wasn't involved with anything else. And then,
sorry to jump in, I will say, Renee, you gave us the best production tip. When we were framing Steve up, you're like, yeah, just put it right under his tit.
Renee said, put it under his, wow, babe, thanks. Well, and then just so you know, Rick, I have a real issue, and who knows where it comes from, but I have an issue of, secrets. I don't like people talking behind my back, right? And it bothers me. So several times Friday, you and Rick and Brian were having these little whisper sessions, and I get really insecure.
Or even, and I think it had probably been building, because even during the week, Brian and I were talking about stuff too, because I know you're not concerned about the podcast. Your main priority was your stand-up set. But obviously, I am not as seasoned as you are. And so I did want to work through things with writer Brian before we filmed that podcast. So I would talk to him privately just because I felt like it didn't need to be one more thing on your plate.
And it's hard because sometimes creatively, I've already envisioned what it's going to look like. I've already put in my head, this is what it's look like, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got Rick. Luckily for me and Rick, and now even Terry, we all kind of know the brand, so I can trust everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And then here I'm going, okay, we're all on the same page, and everybody's on board kind of with the vision, and then you and Brian and Rick are over there, and I'm like, what's going on?
No, and
I'm like, what's happening?
I think that was hard, Rick. I think that was hard for Steve this go round too. Is even creatively and production wise, you were not as hands on this go round either because you needed to be so focused on your set. That was your priority, and so I think there was a little bit of anxiety on your part too about not being so in the know on every production detail
Of what was happening.
Yeah, because we were both removed.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like, for me, I've never, because usually I walk into a show taping. Well, when I did Showtime, very nervous.
It was
right?
your first one.
First one.
You were a baby.
And then now it's so easy for me, and now I'm like, okay, I got the material, I'm having fun, right?
Yeah.
And I always really try to make an effort to make the crew know that I'm aware that without them, there's no me. So day of, usually I try to walk around and say hello, and I try to make sure that I'm acknowledging everybody that's working.
Yeah.
Whether it's the guy cleaning up, the sound guys. I really want to make sure that I stop and just take a moment with everybody because I'm so appreciative. And I know it's their job, and I know that they're there to work, but
yeah.
man, and this time I felt panicked and, I'm freaking out about the set. And I still want to make sure I say hi and acknowledge everybody.
Yeah.
Because I never want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I remember working on things where, the talent was such a piece of shit and so unappreciative. And even if they were appreciative, they didn't seem appreciative. And to me, I wanted to make sure to say thank you and say, guys, thank you, and you're doing a wonderful job. And
yeah.
The poor sound kid who was fantastic and Dan,
yeah.
The kid's working hard, and I could see on his face that oh shit moment when the sound went out, right? And he's looking at me like, are you gonna yell at me? Like, is this the part where you lose your shit?
No, you reserve that for your wife.
I do. Hey, small price to pay for a Land Rover. Small price to pay for a Land Rover.
And a Chevy Camaro too.
And a Chevy Camaro from Aztec Chevrolet. But I do. But look, that I'm glad you brought that up. That's part of marriage, right?
Yeah.
People don't know that. People don't realize that when you're partners and when you're teammates, that's the sacrifices that you have to make.
Yeah.
You're definitely a lot nicer in front of other people. when it's just me and you.
Know what? With every special, we have gotten better. Like the intensity in the marriage intensity, the behind the scenes private intensity, I think it's gotten a little less with every special, just because I've come to know your quirks. And
also Renee needed to learn how to be a boss. Like when we did Relatable, like people were coming up to me going, what is her fucking problem? She's losing her mind. Because you were like, and this has to happen, and why aren't you doing this, and why aren't you doing that, and oh my God. And then my sister's like, what's going on? I just want to sit down and watch the show. Renee's freaking out. And then the funny part about that is people want to...
But also in my defense on Relatable, I was working 7 people's jobs. Because we just didn't...
In her defense.
We didn't have... Yes.
Always in her defense.
It was a different... It also has gotten progressively easier as we've gotten more.
But it's also funny how people treat me. So when we filmed Relatable, all the producers were like, he needs his time. He needs his time to relax in the green room. And
they were so concerned about you being nonstop.
No, Steve, dude, I'm like, I don't need time. Maybe somebody else does. I want to fix the set. I want to finish fixing the set. I want to.
Yeah, they were like, Steve, please stop building the set and go sit in your green room for like 10 minutes.
And then they're like, oh no, Steve can't have guests in his green room. He needs downtime. I'm like, hell no. I want my family back here. I want my friends back here. We're all going to do a shot. We're like, and then they're like, well, but you have to perform. And I'm like, that's the easy part. And I don't want to be alone by myself.
Yeah.
You know what's happening in my head by myself? I need distractions.
You need distractions.
And I like to walk around. I like to say hi. And I like to have fun. And I want to share what has happened to me with my friends and family. You know, when I have friends and family hanging out at the studios at Fisher, which is VIP. It feels so
An amazing
badass.
Facility, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want my friends and family that work everyday jobs to come and experience what I get to experience almost every day. You know, which by the way, it's always their drunkest. Like like people get around free booze and the free food backstage and the excitement of a shoot and they're just a freaking mess.
Yeah, but for this show, because it's COVID and coronavirus and all the different regulations, we couldn't have booze at this. That was another thing that was different about this go round. There was no booze.
Yeah, and I'm funnier when you're drunk. You're definitely
You're
funnier.
funnier when I was no. You're funnier when I'm drunk too. Yes.
And you haven't been drunk in a while, so you've been a real asshole.
I know.
I'm gonna catch shit for that. I say, I'm like, oh my God, Steve called his wife an asshole. Did you hear him?
Only I can call you that.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about that, dude. Like, anytime she shits on me, all the fans like, hell yeah, get him. If I get a good one, they're like, Steve, be nice. Oh my God. Which, by the way, that was another weird feeling is that people root so hard for you to nail me that they lose it. So several times in the podcast, dude, you like freaking uppercut combination knock Steve out, and the audience was just, it really felt like a shit on Steve
I don't get a lot
Fest.
of them, but when I do, I get good.
It really felt like a shit on Steve Fest. I'll be honest with you. Phil and Tatiana were like, he's this and he's that. And like, I'm like, all right. This is, and then your dad at the end. That's the closer.
Oh my dad.
I'm not gonna say what he said because I want you to spend money on us, but dude, Daddy Raymond at the end. Which, by the way, he gets on stage and he's higher than Giraffe Pussy.
You know, he did not know he was going to get on stage. The plan was camera was just going to cut to them while they were in their seats. But you, spontaneously in the moment, were like, we got to get Daddy Raymond up here.
We had to because so my mom, Miss Dora's here, your mom's here, and Daddy Raymond's here, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Your mom, she's the evil one.
What do you mean?
She was laughing so hard and like hitting your dad, and your dad was just like kind of, and I'm like, okay, we got to get him on stage, right? Because your mom was having so much fun, you know, enjoying the show.
Well, because there was like a cringeworthy joke for me too. There were a couple of jokes, and now I'm not going to remember, but there were a couple of jokes in the set where I was like, ooh, this one might be hard on my parents. Ooh, that one might be hard to hear. Like,
really? It was clean.
It was. No, there was one where you like dropped the F-bomb a couple of times in the second set.
Twice.
No.
They're used to my F-bomb num count at like 15 and 20. So 2, they're fine. Like, we're good. But we did try to keep it a little, because of the tone of the content. I didn't want to drop a bunch of F-bombs because when we get to the tone of the content, I wanted it to really be important.
Yeah.
So, you know, we go through the set, it comes to a kind of a climax, and then I bring it down and we get serious, and then we bring it back up to another climax, you know. So I didn't want to drop too many F-bombs, you know, but it's frustrating. And, you know, we had Alex Whedon at our show.
Yes. So
Alex Whedon is the lead guitarist for Miranda Lambert. Mm-hmm. And through Sean Simler, we've now known Alex Whedon for, gosh, forever it seems.
Well, yeah, because
right?
we met him when we lived in California, and anytime they were like out in LA on the road, we'd
So
catch up.
that's what I was going to say is that Alex. So anyway, coincidentally,
So loud, I'm sorry. It's like so loud and obvious
here, give me a little bit, just a little bit. Thank God we stopped and got you water. Thank God. Stop it. Thank God. Thank God. So by the way,
What?
you're like,
at the show. Did you know this? I don't know if you even saw
yeah,
this.
somebody kept handing you water.
In the audience, as we were walking off stage, a lady handed me a giant jug of water that she brought me.
Which, by the way, you were like, well, I want my own bottle of water so I don't stop the show. We just stopped the show for your point.
But I mean, we don't have to say cut, go to the water fountain, fill up your cup.
So what were we talking about?
I don't know.
You got me completely.
We stopped the show with the water.
Yes, you see, you screwed up the show anyway. Somehow it's my fault. You know what we're going to do? Hold on. We're going to have to separate this into 2 different episodes. All right? Because we're going too long. Captain Evil won't shut up.
Me? You're the one who won't stop talking.
I was trying to get some stuff out of you. Anyway, watch both episodes. Thank you so much.
Please like it and share it and make sure you watch next week too.
Yes. What she said.